Make yourself comfy. Nice little lunch break. What was that for you?
Good old
Enjoy
Greg's.
that.
Good old Greg's.
Right.
Here we
Episode 7, Igor.
Here we go. Another Monday, another episode.
This is going to be getting out in a few weeks, but we've just published our podcast Beyond the Scene, haven't we?
Yeah. It's live on iTunes, Spotify,
Yeah, so we can kind of say it
YouTube.
now,
Yeah.
which is mad. But we've worked through little steps, haven't we? We've
Yeah,
overcome
yeah.
little hurdles that, a few weeks ago we didn't know how to do that. And
No, not at all.
we've ticked those boxes off, and we are now kind of officially podcasters.
Yeah. When you say it like that, yeah, I guess.
So, here we are. We're on episode 7. And today's topic is marketing strategies in 2022.
Boom, boom, boom.
So, should we just dive straight in?
Yeah,
let's
just go.
not hang around. People know who we are by now. We don't need to introduce ourselves, do we?
Yeah, let's just go.
So, what is a marketing strategy? Just break it down in layman's terms first and just make it, because it can kind of sound like a bit of an...
Exactly, literally, you just
Yeah,
said it. What is
if you're new to a creative industry or business, having a marketing strategy can make you feel a little bit kind of intimidated.
Yeah. What's your roadmap to show you, or what's your roadmap for whatever you want to sell or whatever you want to give?
Yeah.
Would that be a...
Yeah, kind
a
of.
good
Well,
definition?
I think marketing is simply the idea that you are going to get yourself in front of your target audience.
Yes.
It's about
yes.
showcasing you and your brand,
Yeah.
and getting that out to the right kind of... The key is getting it to the right audience,
Yeah.
not just any audience. Because
Yeah.
if you get to any audience, they're not always the ones that are going to buy from you. It's getting It's getting yourself in front of the people that are going to buy from you, whether it's a product or a service. And then the strategy is just simply, I suppose, the arms that are going to make up that plan.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of decide. We live in a world of, huge opportunity and multiple channels and marketing concepts that you are now almost spoilt for choice.
Yeah. There's no excuse really not to sort of like know what to do in some ways, or what sort of like avenues to
I'd just
take,
get on Yellow Pages. Just get it on the Yellow Pages and just wait. Get a couple of business cards, hand them out to your friends and family,
Docker snaps.
and just see what comes from it. Oh,
Here we go.
does the Yellow Pages still exist?
Yes, it does.
Does it? Wow.
It's probably online, but yeah.
So I suppose before we get into it, let's just rewind sort of even like 10, 15 years ago, and how different the landscape is now
Yeah.
compared to when, maybe just a bit before we got into what we're doing.
Yeah.
The internet was in its infancy still, really.
Yeah.
Instagram didn't exist.
Yeah.
YouTube was just kind of finding
Taking
its
off.
feet.
Yeah.
Facebook was probably the biggest social marketplace.
Yeah.
Social platform. But anybody that's been in business for the last 5 or 6 years will know that, Facebook is now almost in terms of reach and potential to market itself, you have to pay for that service now, don't you? It's no longer a free service anymore.
Yeah. And that's very much the way that Instagram is going, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're all going to be. I think it makes sense from their point of view. They want to, they've got to monetize their platforms, haven't they? It's just, it's a no-brainer. But things have definitely changed, and I think this is one of our other takeaways, maybe towards the back end of the episode, is that the landscape isn't going to stop evolving.
Yeah.
It's part of our job and our responsibility as business owners to adapt and evolve and
keep on changing.
In one of the very early episodes we did, I think I talked about my previous business failing because we didn't adapt and we didn't move with the times. We had 2 or 3 really good years of trade on eBay, and we didn't understand why that just didn't continue. But that was because we just failed to
adapt,
failed to recognize that things were moving.
Man.
What do you think are the common mistakes that happen within people's businesses and in terms of marketing these days?
People tend to try to attract everybody rather than just hone in into a specific audience or specific audience, really, rather than just, I don't say just, but rather than spend a good amount of time identifying who your market is, who you're actually going to sell this, whatever your product is, or your services. Identify those people and run with it.
Yeah.
Then run the strategies that you want to implement. And yeah, because if you try to attract everybody, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, really.
Yeah.
And I think,
well, it can get very expensive that way.
Yeah.
Either in time or in money.
Oh, in money, in terms of ads, whatever route you go into. Yeah. So I think identifying your audiences is...
Well, I think once you identify your audience, you can also recognise what channels and platforms they're on and which ones they're consuming more of, and you kind of give yourself you give yourself just a fighting chance from the beginning, don't you? And then it becomes about kind of testing those strategies. And, if you are going to get into the world of paid adverts, a big lesson is, or a common strategy is to test. Test a lot at small prices, and then just kind of you need to compare them against each other. And
that's it.
Then once you find the one that's outperforming the others, then you kind of hone in on that one, don't you?
Yeah.
So any other mistakes that you can think of? I mean, one that stands out for me is people forgetting to kind of stay on brand. I think it's great that we live in an age where people want to open themselves up, and I think one of the huge advantages of today's social platforms is that you are giving people a real insight into who you are and what your business is about. But that also needs to be moderated. Yeah.
Make sure you're not losing your communication style and still communicating what you still sell or still whatever, but you still bring your own voice to it rather than, okay, let's sell now.
I think, it's just about staying on brand, isn't it? And just remembering that people are always there, they're always watching and seeing things, and they can screenshot stuff, and they can, they're gonna, if you say
keep
something
you accountable.
That's a bit, if you say something that's not appropriate, they're forming an opinion on you. So common mistakes. I think the final one that I would mention in that is consistency. The amount of times we've come across, and I'm sure you have as well, we've come across photographers specifically that will, question why they're struggling to get traffic or inquiries through, let's say, Instagram. And you look at their strategy on Instagram, and it's where they tried it for 2 weeks and then it disappeared.
That's it.
And then they came back in 3 months and then tried it again for another week and a half, and you don't get instant results these days.
No.
You've got to play the long game.
Yeah, I think that's the massive one, really, in terms of consistency, and it's so easy to see someone else that's being successful at whatever, and not just think it takes time. And it takes pounding to sort of like create whatever the brand is. So well,
like we have with this podcast already. We've spent countless hours together working on this already. And at the time of this recording, we haven't even had a single listener or view because we've not published it yet. But we're
consistently showing up.
We're playing the long game. We're playing the long game. Okay, so let's look at strategies for 2022. Where do you want to start? Where should we go?
Let's start at the top of our list, really. Multi-channel. So you said multi-channel there. Just open up a little bit, and then I'll go in the back of you.
It's really just about the options now that are at your disposal. From TikTok to Facebook to YouTube to Instagram to Pinterest. I mean, that's just 5 rattled off in quick succession. You can keep going on and on, can't you?
Discord.
But there are podcasts. These are all marketing opportunities that are available to you.
Should you be on everything?
No. Well, unless you can afford to be on everything, because I think it comes down to whether you're, again, there's a difference between whether you're selling a product or a service. I think people like you and I that are in a maybe more of a service-based industry, we ultimately we can't scale our time as such. So our time comes at a cost.
Tell me about it.
It does. Whereas if you're selling a product, once you've put that groundwork into developing your product and getting it ready, marketing is really the bulk of the job then, isn't it? It's about getting that product into the right screens or devices for your audience to see. But I think before we get into any of that and any of those ideas and strategies, it's just remembering about the potential now that you have to let people into your world and your brand and for them to see you and what you're about. It shouldn't always be sell. people. That was a very aggressive sell, wasn't it?
That was a very aggressive sell.
But you get my point, right? It's not all about. It shouldn't always be about
Darker snaps
selling, because all right, people see through that now. That's not how anybody likes to be sold.
Yeah.
They like to feel like they can make a connection with a brand.
Mm-hmm.
Does that give you something to run with?
Yeah, definitely. And I love that simply from the point of authenticity, really, because authenticity very much sells, and people want to see you for who you are, get to know you, almost like invest in you emotionally, because especially in the area that we are working on, because trust is such a massive thing, isn't it?
Oh, massive, huge.
People are buying into us. That should be the number one in some ways, really, making sure that you're allowing people to really get to know you. And self-proclaimed, I'm bad at this. I'm bad at sort of like letting.
How many times do I have to say to you, put your face on?
Show your face. Show your face, Igor. Show your face.
But it is one of the biggest differentiating factors in marketing. You can put products side by side, can't you? And I think as photographers, we're probably all a bit guilty of comparing ourselves to other photographers, and actually the biggest thing that separates you from the rest of the competition is you. It's this face. Those teeth.
So come on, people, show your faces. Let's show our faces. Yeah. No, it's true though. It is very true. It's, I don't know. It's a struggle for me at times, but I know the rewards that would come from it if I did it again consistently.
Consistency, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that for me is it's another point, really, that it feels like marketing now is far more time and labor intensive than it probably ever has been.
Yeah.
I mean, people 20 years ago may argue differently. They might have a different take on that.
Yeah.
But we are overwhelmed with options and opportunity.
That's exactly what was.
But on the flip side of that coin, the potential now is enormous.
Yeah.
The potential to scale a business, especially if you sell a product. I think obviously if you're selling a service, it's really, you can't physically sell yourself for more, can you? It's just not possible. But if you're selling a product, like, the world literally is your oyster now. It's we live in such an accessible world.
Yeah.
If you're an artist, or you're selling a small fashion line, or producing content that you can it's digital content that you can sell. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
I completely agree. And I think as well that my point is gone. My point is gone. It's coming.
Did you write it? Did we have it in our notes, or is it just
no, it was literally on this. Oh yeah, that was it. Still not quite well formulated, but the whole idea, just in some ways going back to what you were saying about not using all of the options that you have in terms of all those multi-channels. Identify the ones that you are strong at, identify the ones that whatever are getting you the most results, really. And run with them, run hard, really, because I think so many times, especially in our day and age, where you get so many options in terms of the avenues that you can market yourself are presented to yourself, and you feel overwhelmed by it, and you feel in some ways guilty that the fact that I'm not doing TikTok or not doing Twitter or whatever it is.
We're getting on TikTok, aren't we?
We're getting on TikTok.
We
are on TikTok. So
we are actually on TikTok. What's our handle on TikTok?
Another-idea.co.
There you go.
So
I mean, there might not be a video on that yet.
Yeah,
but again, it's one thing that's coming, because we've seen the potential in it. We've done some research into where our audience are. How competition perform on TikTok. It isn't just a dancing channel now, is it?
No,
there are other podcasts on there, and they've got huge following and generating big numbers. So we're recognizing that and going, okay, is this worth our time? Okay, we can see the potential, and we're gonna use that phrase that we always seem to use, like lean into it. I'm gonna give it a shot. But if after 4 or 5 months it doesn't generate anything for us, then we'll reassess constantly. Marketing, if you aren't aware of your numbers and you aren't analyzing that kind of data, you're wasting either your time or your money.
Yeah. You can't grow what you don't know how to. You can't grow really what you don't know the numbers of.
No, of course not.
So,
well, like you've said, either something's doing really well,
Yeah.
in which case you do more of it, but you only know that if you know it's doing well,
Yeah.
or something's not doing well, in which case you need to chop it and you save that time or that money and redirect it into the one that's doing well. It's a simple process.
Yeah.
One thing we wrote down here that I want to ask you about is collaborations, and used a great word when we were just sort of brainstorming this, and it was cross-pollinate. Well, 2 great words, and I loved it.
We're being bees here. We're being bees.
Do tell, Igor.
But the whole idea of collaborating with someone and cross-pollinating audiences, really, I think that's huge. And it's probably 5 years ago, 6-7 years ago, it wouldn't have been a thing that people would consider in a sort of like normal way, or they wouldn't consider it in a comfortable way. That's better said, because no, you can't do that. You're stealing
With
his
competition.
audience. Yeah, exactly. Whereas today, Instagram is really pushing it. It's pushing you to collaborate with others, even with the buttons in the way you tag your collaborators, because that's how that's how companies, products, services grow, really.
Yeah. You only have to look at some of the big brands now and what they do, and just follow them.
Yep.
And look at how many times they collaborate with either individual brands or smaller brands, or they, if they're doing it, you have to say to yourself, why are they doing it?
Yeah. And I would love to see it more within our industry. Yes, we do see it in other industries, but I would actually love to see it more within our industry, where people are actually teaming up. The whole idea of we are competition rather than collaborators.
Do you think we've moved away from that time a bit more now, like that age of, I won't talk to that photographer because they might steal my work from me? Or do you think do you think that still exists?
Yes, 100%. It definitely still exists. But I think the ones that are being successful at it are the ones that are very much collaborating and realizing that there's different ways of actually marketing their business.
Well, it's like, look at this podcast, for example. So we're bringing guests on board that are going to help us grow our audience, right?
Yeah.
But that goes 2 ways. Those people that are going to come on this podcast, we're giving them a platform to reach an audience and to voice their brand and their business.
Yeah, that's it.
And then that's just with the episode. That isn't even just the
social
marketing,
media,
the marketing strategy that comes with that. Is we slice that content up. We both get to service it and use it. We both get to reach an audience, and it becomes a kind of like a self-fulfilling. It feeds whatever the system is.
It becomes a marketing machine in some ways, isn't it? So
just through sharing content, and ideas and discussions.
It's great. And the beauty of it as well is that we all stand to gain. Yes, we as hosts stand to gain, the guest stands to gain, but you as an audience, you stand to gain, because you're constantly learning new things, constantly being introduced to new people and new ideas and new ways of seeing and doing things. And what's not to like?
Amazing. I'm sold. I had something on the tip of my tongue, and this is going to happen quite a lot, I suspect. As you were talking, I was like, I can't interrupt you but I want to interrupt you because I was thinking of something. It's going to come back to me in a bit. Okay. Moving on to the next point. In fact, I'm going to jump forward slightly. I'm going to move on to the one after that, which is often an overlooked part of marketing, I think, because it's not we'll get to it in a second, because it's not a social channel, or there's nothing there that's tangible as such. Like serving your existing clients and your previous clients is often neglected as a huge marketing opportunity.
Yeah, because you're trying to get new.
Because it's always about new work. But actually, the people that have invested and committed to you as a business or a brand, you've still got work to do there. But the marketing reach that one person can bring to your business is, especially in today's age now, where you have people going to, let's say, like restaurants and tagging the food in the restaurant, or going into a shop and buying some clothes and tagging the reach from that one person, if that person's got, a couple of thousand followers, it's free marketing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it very much
nothing's
is.
ever quite free, is it? But it's as free as you can get.
Yeah, it very much is. And yeah, I completely agree. And in some ways it goes with the idea of just taking care of the people that you have, isn't it? And making sure that you are consistent, not just simply in the marketing that you're providing, but you're consistent in what you are delivering, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. Be consistent with it, because that consistency will get you more clients through the ones that you have. Yeah. The other point that I was going to say is, whilst yes, we're talking about the clients that you have, is also the people that you've perhaps worked with in the past, or the ones that you currently have, but mainly the ones that you worked with in the past. Those people, those services, those business, those clients, wherever, there's still opportunities there for you to market yourself, and it's very much the whole idea of constantly being on people's mind. And I think you're brilliant at this in terms of like you constantly showing up. So that would mean that a specific client that you had, or a specific vendor or whatever that you've worked with previously, they'll have Sam constantly in mind. Because
and I think it's a drip feed approach as well. That was one of the points I was going to mention. We talked about we talked in the research bit, or before we were chatting about Gary V's.
Yeah, what was jab, right hook.
Yeah, and again, it's people don't like to be sold to. Like constantly being sold to. It's just being a bit more softer and gentle with it. And for me, it's about being just drip feeding content and bringing value to people when they see me appear. I hope I bring a bit of value to them, or a bit of light-hearted entertainment, whatever it might be. And then if I do have something to sell, it feels a bit more genuine and a bit more authentic.
Yeah, and people who want to actually be sold to in some ways, because they've already consumed your content, and in some ways it actually feels like, it actually feels natural to give towards this. Not even give, because they know that we'll receive something back. But you get my point.
Great stuff. Mailing list.
Ooh.
Is it an overlooked strategy?
Oh, very much is. And at least in the UK, I don't know. I don't hear people talking about it much.
I don't think you do not in our industry.
Yeah,
not as much as maybe it should be.
In the US, yes, very much so. No matter what the industry is, really, you very much hear it. But in terms of mailing lists here in the UK, I don't hear it, and I wish I would hear it more in terms of the importance of it, because we had this conversation today. Instagram, Facebook, whatever, all of that could disappear literally in a day.
Yeah.
How are you going to communicate with your clients?
How's MySpace going?
Exactly.
It was a bit of a one-off. But we've mentioned Tumblr on this before, and Flickr, and I was chatting to somebody the other day about Photobox and all of these things that although we live in although Instagram and Facebook and YouTube are now absolute juggernauts. Yeah.
You can have 50k.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, you can have 50k of followers or contributors, whatever, in those sort of accounts. If that gets taken away in one day, what are you going to do? So
it's, I suppose the lesson is not having all your eggs in that one basket.
Exactly. And with mailing lists, you really control it. You control it yourself. You control the medium you control, first of all, you control what you communicate, but you have control of easy access to your audience.
Do you think people are more invested if they've chosen to subscribe to your mailing list?
Yes, of course. Yes, they've committed to in some ways. I say committed.
I suppose I'm getting to the point of like it's quite easy just to follow an account.
Mm-hmm, exactly. But that's what I was going to say.
Is it a bigger thing to just? It feels like a really, I don't know, like a bigger commitment to or investment to.
It's not. In some ways, it's the only investments that you're doing is time, really, because they're giving their time to literally listen or read whatever you have to say, really, whether they want to do or not. That's their choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it's time, really. But at the same time, it's showing, it's telling, and it says much about you and your business when someone subscribes. Yes,
Yeah.
I want to listen to you. Yes, I want to know more about you and your product and whatever you offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think again, it's embracing the same approach that we've talked about when it comes to showing content on social. It shouldn't be a strong selling email. It should be just a kind of a portal into what's happening in your business this week or today, or what's happening with the products. But I think if it's harnessed properly, I think it can be incredibly powerful. And one of the guests we've got lined up in the next few weeks is going to be chatting a bit more about how they use mailing lists, effectively and efficiently in their business. So
absolutely.
That's going to be great.
Yeah.
SEO.
Yeah. SEO. It's one of those that I've sort of taken the foot off the gas really in terms of that, because the results are coming in.
Yeah.
I think I've done the hard work. I feel established. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's the right way of saying it. At the same time, I see an opportunity with it, and especially now, redesigning the whole website and everything else. And yes, new ideas or new ways of doing SEO will be implemented because of it, really, because of the whole new site and everything else. But yeah, it is an important thing, 100%. But again, we're saying all these strategies, but it's you as an audience, you have to identify wherever your client is coming from. It's all well and good. You sort of like put all this time and effort into whatever AdWords or whatever. Titles.
I think it's about putting yourself in the position of your clients and recognizing how they're going to find you. SEO and Google search isn't going to apply to every business that's listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
But for a lot of them, it's going to be, if you have a location or you have a specific product you're looking to sell that people are actively searching for. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to say, if you really want to play the SEO game, get into YouTube, whether it's, I don't know, through whichever way you can sort of like introduce your business within that sphere, go into YouTube, because outside of Google, YouTube is the biggest search engine in the world at the moment. So people don't find themselves, well, they do, but people don't find themselves solely Googling chicken and tikka masala recipe or something like that. You literally go to YouTube.
Yeah, of course you do. And even YouTube, even if you do it on Google, it brings up YouTube videos at the top. So that says it all. And I think just the final little caveat on SEO, and I suppose this could apply to a lot of the strategies really, is to play the long-term game. There are no quick fixes to any of these strategies, are there? You have to be in this for the long run.
Yeah, and it's the whole idea that you have to put in the work at the same time. The same way that you would really, really invest your time into SEO in terms of analysis.
I'm following you. Short-term gain, long-term pain. That's what we discussed, Igor. But it's the idea that if something is too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Yes. So if somebody phones you up saying I can get you to page one of Google, no, they can't.
Yes.
If somebody says buy 10,000 followers on Instagram because it's going to boost your just walk away from it.
Yeah. If it looks too good to be true, you know how to do it.
Okay, next strategy. Socials. Where do we start with? Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. How do you even start to unpick? I mean, I kind of, one thing that I thought of earlier that I didn't get to talk about was Facebook, and referencing that Facebook had, the marketing potential of Facebook had dropped off a cliff, a few years ago, which it did. But actually, the power of Facebook is still there in a totally different way, because it allows you to develop and build a community. And I've definitely found that with the course. So everybody that's in the course is part of a private group and they get to ask questions. And, I'm kind of helping photographers. So, I'm servicing their businesses through a Facebook group. So although the reach of maybe posting a photo on there isn't there anymore. It still harnesses a huge amount of power from a marketing point of view.
In terms of community.
It's just in a different. It's just a different way.
Yeah, It just has a different, it just has a completely different goal or way of serving us as businesses than it used to. And I think Instagram has just been huge. At least we both openly can see that.
Without doubt.
Can say that.
I think if it's done right, you're onto something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to think something. But
no, that's it. That's exactly it. And still today, I think that yes, it's a lot harder to grow and grow bigger audiences, but I think that it should definitely be at the forefront of what you do as a business, because it's what people are seeing. People are constantly scrolling and using their phones. It's more than they are on their computers, really. So, and
I think we're lulled into this idea as well that 2,000 followers, 5,000 followers, it's nothing. There's nothing there, because some people out there have got 32 million followers.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes us feel as businesses that we're not really doing anything right or well. No. You might get 2 or 3 followers a day, but actually they might be 2 or 3 customers.
Yeah.
They might be 10, 15 customers, and I think sometimes you've got to separate yourself from those big accounts of famous people or huge brands and just recognize that you are building something slowly. And if you keep servicing that audience and offering them content that is of value to them and they want to see, when it comes to that point when you go, hey, I've got a little sale on today, or I've dropped a new product, what do you think? That's the point at which you can then convert those people, and just not beating yourself up over those numbers. It's like the numbers thing is just it's such a distorted view on.
But going back to the numbers, literally, even if you have like 1,000 followers, if 10% of that become your clients, that's incredible. That's incredible. That's 100 people that are really invested in your brand, in you and your business. The power of it, it's crucial. It's still there. So but TikTok.
Yeah, well, that was the next point, and I was almost going to say to you, we can't really talk about TikTok because we're not really on it yet, and we don't know much about it. And we're going to, over the next 4 or 5 months, we're probably going to learn a little bit. I think, from our point of view, the key here is generating this content once and being able to slice it up into various formats and redistribute it. Yeah, I think that is going to be the key. Yeah. What we don't want to be doing is having to produce separate bits of content for each channel, because otherwise it's just going to swallow our time, and that's not going to be feasible. So
we're diving into it and experimenting.
Maybe let's do in a few months' time. Let's just pass on a few lessons from TikTok. See how it goes down.
What we learn about TikTok. No, I like that.
The final point really is just to talk about video and YouTube. Yeah, and I suppose is it the scariest one out of the lot, and the most I wouldn't say it's not
the most time consuming.
It's the most time consuming. I think it intimidates people more. Like that, putting your face in front of a camera. Yeah, does take a while to kind of get your head around. Yeah. But again, the rewards can be pretty big if you can master it and you can be at ease with it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that the amount of time that I've spent just consuming YouTube in general, it's ridiculous if I really think about it. But the amount of eyeballs that you are able to have through it, it's just incredible, really. So it's a no-brainer, really, for us to sort of put this in it and again, just see how we can learn, see how we can grow, see how we can invest in ourselves and our businesses. And well, it's something I've tried to do with the studio and my photography businesses, to try and do like a weekly kind of almost vlog. But even that's I still haven't published an episode yet. I've got one almost ready to go, but there's a lot more that goes into it than meets the eye, definitely.
How do you find the whole, going back to it, but how do you find the whole thing of just showing your face? Just kind of like,
I think it's just part of the process. I can still remember, where are we, like 18 months down the line from just doing a first talking to Instagram, and that was terrifying. Yeah. And for the first 5, 6, 7 months, I would refilm stuff. I'd keep plugging away and trying. Yeah. Now, if I go and film something, it's like boom, done. Yeah. Not even thought about it. It's just out there. the next stage for me and my business is to be able to talk to camera without having a script or a teleprompter there, and it's just talking to a lens. I'm finding that incredibly difficult.
Yeah, same.
Because I have a complete mental block. I'm like looking down the barrel of a gun, going,
and even here in this episode,
this is challenging at times.
This is a skill. This is a skill to be able to literally just look a lens in the eye, and just communicate.
Well, that's probably why we're doing it together, because we're like just holding each other's hand through it.
If you do it, I'll do it. Okay. But no, I think that again, in terms of a skill to sort of like learn and grow and apply into your business, it's massive really, because you'll be able to sell so much, not necessarily sell, just really present yourself. That's it. That's the point really. Present yourself in a manner that's comfortable, and as an audience you'd be like, I'd buy from that guy. I'd want him and his services and whatever else really. And again, to the whole point that we said previously, it just instills that sense of trust. It instills that sense of, I get this guy.
It's I don't know what it is.
I
feel like we've just had a really concentrated hit of marketing, and my mind is just starting to just wander. But I think if you can implement some kind of YouTube strategy into your business, I think the potential is huge. You only have to look at the brands and the businesses that are doing well. You know, most of them have a video presence. And again, it's just a reflection of the marketing potential that you have. And this is exactly what this episode is about, is to get people that are listening to this thinking about, how can I implement these strategies into my plan. But one of the points you made at the very beginning, or very early on, is about making sure that you can do them each one well and consistently. Don't spread yourself too thin. You know, you're better off doing 3 or 4 and nailing each one than doing 6 or 7 half-heartedly. And then there we have it, really. Obviously, it's all going to change in 3 months' time anyway, so the landscape will just shift, and what we've just talked about will be completely null and void. So I don't know if that was any use to anybody.
So the last 40 minutes or whatever that you've been listening to.
Anything you want to wrap up with? I feel like we've covered a lot of topics there in a very short
time. Yes, you can very much. It was quite generalized in some ways, but it's just to get people thinking, and just to get people sort of like self-analyzing themselves really, and analyze their strengths, what they're good at, what they're not, and choose, perhaps, as you said, 3 avenues where they can literally go in and hit hard and market their business really. So,
and just to wrap up, what are the kind of cornerstones for doing, each channel? What are the fundamentals that need to, if you commit to one of those channels, what are the fundamental elements?
It's consistency. It's the one thing really. And even as we keep talking through episodes and everything else, it's the one word that keeps popping up. Maybe the our podcast should be called consistency or something like that related to it.
Let's see if we've still managed to put an episode a week out in 2 months' time, shall we? Before we
we definitely will. We definitely will.
But I think consistency is huge, and just I think you mentioned like being authentic as well earlier on, and that's it's just such an often overlooked part of any marketing strategy for me.
So for me, I think that the challenge that I'll set myself is really just to show my face more and more really. And
do you want to do an Insta Live in a minute, Igor? Should we do that? No, it's too scary.
Yes, let's do it because it's literally Well,
let's say goodbye to these guys.
That's it.
Thanks for tuning in.
This is perfect.
Again, share it on Insta. Check us out on TikTok. Hopefully we've posted one by this point. Comment on YouTube. What else? What other channels are we using for marketing? We haven't really got a Facebook group, have we?
No, we haven't.
No. Do we need a Facebook group? We can look at that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Mailing list.
Boom.
Have a good one, guys. See you in the next episode.